And I'm in Saratoga, California right now. And I'm telling you, I am in the midst of a rainstorm, and also the storm inside my house because I just sold my house. I'm trying to like figure out where I'm going to go next. I didn't expect it to sell in like 5 days. So it's a stormy inside, stormy outside, but I'm really calm being here with you guys. I've been looking forward for this to happen with Kate for such a long time. I mean, I was like, literally, Kate, we need to do this. We need to do this. She was always on board, but it just took us a little bit of time to get ourselves organized and get this started. So I welcome you along with Kate. We are super excited that you guys are our first cohort. We are going to make mistakes. We are not going to know everything, and I'm putting that out right away. There's a lot of things that we would like to learn from you guys as well. So I invite you guys to be more of a, participant. Interrupt me, if you have a question, ask questions as we go along or afterwards, whatever you feel comfortable. You are the stars of the angel sessions. And I don't take that lightly because I started my journey as angel investor. This is who I am. So I started my journey as an angel investor in 2012. And before that, I've been, in software, computer science, electrical engineering for a while. I got tired of seeing the needle not moving in the women in tech leadership. So I went and I joined Anita Borg Institute. Some of you might have heard of Grace Hopper Conference. That's the signature event of Anita Borg Institute. Worked in US, and I also brought them to India. It was a second year, but a lot of things we did in India. We did India's first women-only hackathon. We connected university all across India because a lot of the female students weren't able to attend because things are not as easy or safe as as it is here to just get on a plane and come attend a conference. Addition to that, I came from India. Just going to give you a little bit of background on me and why I'm such a hustler in a sense, and I am proud to be hustler. I am a youngest of 7 kids. My brother is the oldest and the only boy, 22 years older than me. I lost my parents when I was 13, and he instantly became my guardian overnight. He was living in New York. He was like, "You got to come to New York." I'm like, "New York? Okay, is that America?" To me, New York was, because that's where he was, that was the entire America for me. I came here when I was 15 with long hair, oiled hair, thick glasses, and a big red dot on my forehead. I think my hair weighed more than me. I weighed 95 pounds at that time. And I sat in the plane for the first time. I was so intrigued by the button that says, you get to call the stewardess. And the guy next to me says, "You know what that button is?" And it's like, "No, it looks like a person." And I didn't even know English that well, so I kind of, was managing whatever I could speak. I must have pressed it button 50 to 75 times during the entire 20-hour flight. Okay, that was like the thrill of my life. If I can do this in America, I'm all for it, right? I had nothing to lose. Anyways, got here, got my engineering degree, got married, became a mom, moved away to Hong Kong, got divorced. I did full circle, became a single mom, raised 2 daughters, and now I am at a stage where I get to be, not that anything stopped me from being what I wanted to be, but I get to be more even fully expressive of myself. And that is to support women, support young generations, and support young female and underrepresented communities, whether in tech or entrepreneurship or just part of living, right? So that's a little bit about me. My English is still not as good as I would hope to be. I have a little bit of what do you call conscious inferior complex when I have to write in English. So I'm glad I'm speaking. So if you find any spelling errors or grammar errors, I welcome them because that's how I learn. So please feel free to tell me if you notice something that's not that's out of order. I also wrote a book Impact with Wings with 5 other angel investor, female angel investor. And this book is not about how to do angel investment. This book is about why you should consider being an angel investor. What we want to figure out, what is your path, what is your why, and how can being an angel investor play a part in your why, in your path, in your journey, no matter where you are. So anyway, that's a little bit about me, a lot about me actually. So sorry if I took a little bit of time. Feel free to interrupt me. I'm going to dive right into getting started, because we do have a guest speaker who's going to join us around 5:30. So because we are in the first session, we're going to take some time to introduce ourselves and stuff. So I want to make sure you get the most out of it. Any questions? Are we ready to get started? Yeah? Okay.
Let's do it.
All right, thank you. So this is an overview of 4 weeks, right? Oh, first of all, I really want to thank you guys also for allowing me to postpone this by 1 week. I just was in the middle of like literal, what do you call it, breakdown with my house selling. And I just was like really in the middle of it. And I really felt sick. And I knew that I wouldn't be myself if I were to just continue. So thank you for allowing me to, push it out a week. I really appreciate all your messages and your understanding. Okay, having said that, week 1, right? So we're the first session, understanding the ecosystem. We got to start where understanding where we are, not as an ecosystem, and what, why you want to be an angel investor. And the second session is attracting deal flow. Guest speaker for this week is Akash Jain, and I'm going to bring Kate for the second session, attracting deal flow, because I think she's really creative and she's created an amazing infrastructure at getting this women founders to pitch on a weekly basis in different industry. I'm going to moderate. Week 2 is all about due diligence. Okay, you found a company. Now what? Now what do I do? How do I do the due diligence? So what happens usually is that we come across a company that we align ourselves with, either emotionally or like, oh, I can really relate to this company. And a lot of times, because we don't know, we have not done due diligence, we write that check and fingers crossed, it's going to make us, 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x. But the chances are that you're going to fail more than you're going to be successful. So how do we increase our odds of being successful? By doing a great due diligence. And we're also going to get into the legal and financial term sheets and, all that stuff there, convertible notes and safes and price round and down round and seed round, the bridge round. So we're going to go into the details in week 2. The guest speakers are Minda and Megan. I still have to confirm with Megan, so I'm hoping that it would work. A moderator again is me. So in all 4 weeks, I've kept myself as a moderator, but I know Kate is a kick-ass moderator and she asks very difficult questions. And that's the great part about being in this, little cohort, that I would invite, maybe her and I will switch sometime if she is better suited to ask those questions. But right now I have myself as a moderator for all 4 weeks. Well, in week 3, valuation. What is a valuation? How do I know this company is worth what it's saying, the valuation is? And you will know that Silicon Valley valuation is a little bit different than the rest of the US, and the US is different than Canada, than Mexico, than India. It doesn't mean that the innovation is less valued. It's just the way that ecosystem is valuing the startup. So we're going to go a little bit about how to evaluate a company from your perspective, not from the founder's perspective. Going to go into venture math. How do we figure out how much we're going to make, right? So if we invest in a company, and if we do pro rata or if we don't do pro rata, what does it mean? And how do we come up with this Excel spreadsheet that kind of tells us, that if everything goes according to the plan, this is what probably the outcome looks like. And the guest speakers for that week is Sky, and there's another person that I'm trying to bring, so we will let you know. Week 4 is a portfolio strategy. So Now you are ready to make your first or second or however many whatever number angel investment you are making. But what should be your portfolio strategy? What are some of the things you should consider post investment? And the most important thing about attracting a great deal flow is who knows you and who knows your value, and how do we brand you to make sure that you get to be part of that amazing deal flow because of who you are, what value you can bring, and what is your thesis, what industries you are expert in, what is your background look like, etc., etc. So this is the glimpse of 4 weeks. Any questions? Good. All right, so let's dive right into the first one, understanding the ecosystem. Again, it's myself, Jagriti, or you can call me Jags. I love that name too. And Kate, we really are appreciative of you giving us not only your part of your wealth to attend this class, but also trusting us to give you what you think we can provide you. So I appreciate it. We are welcome to any feedback. Positive, negative, whatever it is. This is how we both believe we can grow and provide the best value, not only for you guys, but for the future cohorts.
And Jags, I don't know if you can hear me, hopefully.
Yes.
Do you want to do a quick round robin to have folks introduce themselves to each other before we dive in?
Yeah, I have that as a couple of slides later. Okay.
Okay, super.
So, and there's a reason for placing that slide, because I want you to, think about what you're going to cover and maybe answer from that perspective what you're expecting also. So in today's session, we'll cover what is angel investing, what are startup funding rounds, what is the difference between VC and angels, who are different players in this ecosystem, and what is the process for your first investment, and is there an alternative to angel investing? After taking this class, it's like, okay, it's great, but I don't know if I'm ready to be an angel investor, but I want to be part of this innovation economy. Is there an alternative? So that's what we will cover, and then we'll go into our guest speaker. So why become an angel, right? This is what I have heard. I have believed in some of them myself. I've added some myself. So I'm going to send you guys the slides right after the session. So please feel free to, tell me something that is not there. But, it's pretty common to want to become an angel investor. The first thing is the return, risks and return. Risks are high, but the rewards are also really great. And you get to be part of something that is, in an innovation economy. That's the next big thing. You are actually helping create jobs. You're helping create a community. You're maybe creating a legacy for you and your family. Whatever it is, people do angel investment for many reasons. So what is, okay, oh yeah, this is the slide that I found on internet. It's not, I haven't created this, but I think this 4 area is really captures everything about why one would want to become an angel investor, right? We want to be part of this entrepreneurial innovation economy. We want to be part of a community that has founders and new things happening. We want to give back to the community. We want to help shape the future economy. And we want to also understand that we can really lose a lot, but there's also a probability of really great financial returns. All right. Women investor. In 2004, there were a total of 225,000 angel investors in the US. Out of that, 11,000, 5%. 12 years later, we jumped from 5% to 26%. In 2020, I don't know if you're going to get this number, but I really am excited to have you guys part of this statistics. So I'm hoping that we can go from 26% to maybe close to 50 or 40. It's an upward movement. And I feel that that's happening all around the world. And I would love to hear from you if you feel that we are moving in the right direction too. Having said that, this is where I want to know about you. Tell me about your why. Why do you want to be an angel investor? Don't worry about how. How will follow. Focus on your why. And if you have any idea on what type of industry, what type of topics, what kind of, what stage, have you done any angel investor? So let's now, Kate, if you're okay, we can go around and ask people to introduce themselves. And you can say name, a part of the world you're from. And if you can tell me your why, if you know it. If you don't know it, that's okay too. It's also part of discovery in this process. And yeah, tell me anything else that would help us serve you better. So who wants to go first?
I can maybe go first.
Sure.
My name is Kirsty. Yeah, so hi everyone. So I'm based in San Francisco, originally from Finland, and earlier this year I made the decision to become a full-time angel investor. So I started a little over a year ago, and really what made me make this happen or take this leap was that I wanted to have more purpose. I worked for an advertising technology company for the past 6 years. I joined when it was very early and went through an exit. And really, I just felt like I needed to do something to be a bit more proud of. And you mentioned legacy. I wanted to leave a legacy to my 2 kids and the world. So I invest in climate tech broadly. I have written a few checks. I'm an LP in a couple of funds. So, but I'm really just trying to deepen my knowledge. And also I care deeply about the sort of closing this gap that you were also referring to between minority groups, not just women in venture. So I'm always just keen to meet fellow female angels.
Thank you, Christy. We could also definitely learn a little bit from you on how you went about investing as an LP. So I'm sure, feel free to chime in.
Yeah, and I love sharing my knowledge. Like I honestly could not have gotten started without a few other female angels who helped me out in the beginning. It was so valuable. So yeah, anything I can do to pay back, I would love that.
Thank you. Who wants to go next?
I can go down the line based on who I see.
Okay.
How about Betty?
I think you're on.
I have to take me off mute. That's the first thing that has to happen. Hi, Betty DeVita. I'm out of New York City. I am a career, ex-banker and payments person. Citi and MasterCard have lived as an expat. And the last few years at MasterCard, I got involved in our labs group and became quite smitten with technology and the implications for how fast it was moving and how slow the financial institutions were to adopt based on all of the bureaucracy that was embedded in it. I left MasterCard in 2019 and I started my own fintech advisory company. And in fact, I guess I became an angel investor without really having in my mind that I was an angel investor. So I'm an investor in the company that I work for, or one of my clients. I'm on their board and I'm the chief business officer. And I'm about to write a check for a second company in the open data space. And I really wanted to, so I kind of have open banking as one in my portfolio, open data as a second. And I just really wanted to get the fundamentals down as opposed to just leveraging my business experience, if you will. And, you know, I would say additive to that is, you know, what will it ultimately do to my portfolio, right? Like if I look across the asset classes of my portfolio, I think it's also an interesting opportunity to try and diversify more my portfolio as well. So happy to be here.
Thank you, Betty. That's incredible. Thank you.
Great. Catherine Maloney.
Hello, Catherine Maloney. Spent close to 15 years in the financial services industry, including payments, so I can relate to that, Betty. While going for my MBA, I did take some startup courses and got to Proxy, I guess, an angel investing firm around the area, and I found it quite intriguing. And then in my day job, I actually help companies determine the ROI for investing in software to run their business. So I thought immediate benefit, I might learn some creative ways in building ROI for companies that aren't public. And then longer term also like getting into this space. So I thought it would be some immediate impact and then just some angel investing in the future.
Where are you based out of, Catherine?
Oh, sorry. I'm right outside of Philadelphia.
Okay, great.
Excellent. Anne, over to you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anne Flannery, and I'm like Kate, I'm in upstate New York, so hopefully my connections will stay strong. Delighted to be here tonight. The industry I've spent my whole career in is the sports industry. And I've had the pleasure of helping some startups as a founder of the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame and as playing a role in founding the WNBA. And so my interest is in helping women athletes in particular understand how to be angel investors themselves, how to be founders, how to be funders. And so I felt like the best way to do that would be to involve myself in learning about angel investing. I've often had people approach me to be on sports tech startup panels and judges. And I love the companies I was seeing, but realized I wanted to invest in some of them myself. So I'm looking forward to learning some of those skills and gaining experience in that area to help foster what I've always been passionate about, which is advancing participation opportunities for girls and women in sports at all levels. So delighted to be here tonight, and with that, I'll pass.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anne. And just so everyone knows, Anne also is one of the inspirations for our fund, and I do still love that so much, as that was over a lovely dinner with Anne. Wonderful. Moving on, let me see here. We've got Alice.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alice. I'm also a new immigrant to the US. I'm originally from Taiwan. So my background is healthcare, public health. I work in both US and Taiwan for different health system, hospital, and nonprofit, all about healthcare. And then I entered to Accelerator in Taiwan. That's where I started my startup ecosystem. So I'm more familiar with the startup ecosystem, managing the portfolio as like running the Accelerator in Taiwan. And then the goal is bringing the founders in Taiwan, including the foreign founders in Taiwan, to go global. So I went to different conferences, which kind of expand my, my network to the US and other places like investors and mentors. So I have sort of an idea what is going on, but in terms of like closed door office hour, I did not participate those. So I still like not really familiar with actually like what is going on for the angel investors. I just know the terms, I know what's going on. I even host a internship bootcamp, teach the startups how to do fundraising, but I still not really practiced before. So still not like familiar with that side. And now I'm running a pre-accelerator program called Startup Boost, so in New York. So I still like meet a lot of like pre-C, C stages founders and participate in the Women 2.0 pitch session. I really like to, do the pitch coaching, BD for the startups, doing cross-border. Yeah, so that's kind of my consultant job right now. And the reason why I wanted to join this, not just to learn, also I wanted to start really doing like participate as an angel investors. And another thing inspired me is earlier this year we talked about Black Lives Matters, and I thought about what about Asian founds? I did not see a lot of Asian found like focused on Asian founders. So that's why I'm feeling passionate about maybe started, maybe not. It's just, I mean, it started for myself, I guess. Yeah. So that's where I saw this program. I mean, there are tons of like investor training program, but I really like how you guys structure. So I chose this program. Yeah.
Thank you. Hey, Alice, so what's the name of your accelerator? Startup Boost?
Yeah, Startup Boost.
Okay, so you can be one of the channel for our deal flow.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Awesome.
Alice, thanks so much. And so glad to have you here. Sharon, over to you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sharon Lee Toney. I'm based in Los Angeles, California. And I am interested in angel investing because I recently sold my company to Fiverr. And so it was I founded a digital marketing agency about 2 years ago and had no dreams of ever selling, never thought that a business would even be interested in acquiring. And it was almost like Santa Claus showed up out of the blue, and here I am. So I'm super interested in being able to support other female founders in the same way, and just to kind of learn more about the investment side of the process, and hopefully be like one of you guys one day, of just being an industry leader and a thought leader and a mentor to other people.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, congratulations, Sharon. That's really good. So I think we may tap into your experience and how does it feel to be a founder and then now wanting to be an angel investor. And it's so great because one cannot survive without the other. And you've been on one side, now you want to be on the other side, and you see this ecosystem being nourished by people like you. When they sell their company, they're then they want to become an angel investor to support other founders. So great, thank you, welcome.
Thank you.
Excellent. Zoe.
Hi, everyone. My name is Zoe. I'm based in Toronto, Canada, and it's such a pleasure to meet you all. So my background is quite diverse. I started I would say probably back in 2012 with launching my own tech startup, and I didn't have very much success in terms of breaking in and getting some of the resources that were really needed to accelerate the growth that I was having. So since then, I kind of took a step back from being a startup founder and really started mentoring other young founders, and it kind of spiraled into me helping intrapreneurs who work in hospitals and professors in terms of taking their intellectual property that they've developed and building those into businesses. And I also work with a not-for-profit that's based in Toronto called House, and essentially that is an incubator, but for creative talent who are trying to break into the entertainment industry. So it was founded by R&B superstar The Weeknd. So I work very closely with a lot of people in different verticals, just helping them build their businesses. So my why is, when I had a shot, I didn't have access to the things that I really needed to help boost me. So I want to take what I'm doing now in terms of mentorship and being able to add that other funding layer to be able to really support people who are interested in pursuing their dreams of entrepreneurship.
That's awesome, Zoe. I actually have a dear friend of mine, Amber, who is also from Toronto, Canada, from Communitech. I'm sure you've heard of her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they are founding a Black Founders program. So I would love to chat.
Yeah,
with
it's great. I think that there's a lot of support for women of color now. I think I missed the boat a little bit. I'm like, I got my start pretty early on, but it's nice to see that there's a lot of support for women and, founders of diverse backgrounds.
Yeah. Welcome. Thank you for joining.
Thanks, Zoe. Jory, over to you.
Thanks, Kate. Hi, I'm Jory. I'm based in the Bay Area in the Oakland Hills. Yep, I'm sure some of us who still have a little daylight left, I can see. So my background is I am a founder. I had co-founded a company in 2005. It was a media startup and we exited in 2014. And after that, I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I started advising companies and found a couple of things. One, it's exhausting because of course, the one thing everyone wants is funding. So I did a lot of fundraising and realized how unique it was that as a female founder, we got our A, B, C, we really had no issues. And it occurred to me that that isn't the norm. And it got me really focused on how can I help other female founders and founders of color who, in many cases, I was helping. And I went back into operating. I had a stint at a blockchain company and at AWS, leading their startup marketing group. That's where I worked with a ton of founders, largely underrepresented founders, and how do we get them funded earlier? And most recently, I started at another company, early stage, because I really love being an operator. But I also really want to work on helping other founders. And this summer, I joined Kate and Allison as a VC in residence at the W Fund. So I'm here to get some skills, learn how to be on the other side of the table, not just asking for the money. And I realized that my thesis up until now has been whatever gets me, like, I get excited, but I don't really apply more rigor to the process. So I'm looking forward to actually having a process.
We hope we can deliver that. And this is such a two-way street. So I invite you all, because you have such great experiences, all of you, right? To contribute, to communicate, and let's give each other the best of ourselves. Even though I may be the focal point, but I don't know everything either. And I'm the first person to say that I made plenty of mistakes. So really looking forward to have you all contribute from different paths of life.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you, Jory. And we've got just a small handful left. Amber French is first up.
Okay.
We got two Ambers.
Fair enough. There's not usually two Ambers on a call, so that's impressive. But I am the other Canadian on the call. So I'm based out in Waterloo, Ontario, which is one of Canada's largest tech ecosystems. So I've been living here for about 20 years now. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've started and still run several companies. I've done 4 now. My latest one, it is tech. It's the only tech company I've actually started. It's an e-commerce platform earlier this year. And so again, I'm a little bit newer into the tech side of things. I've been involved in private investing for a while, but it's been generally more real estate-esque and things like that. So now I just started to work really closely with our tech community. I also hold the title of Director of Strategic Capital for Communitech, which is one of Canada's largest regional innovation centers that help to start and scale tech companies. So work with about 1,500 different companies within Waterloo region. Again, I think Waterloo region per capita has a second densest startup per capita after the Valley. So it's just a really exciting place to be. Why I like to invest, I've written probably 4 to 5 different checks in the early stage round. I've done a couple in a little bit of a later stage secondary growth round as well. But it's you get a glimpse as to what the future is going to look like. I just find it so fascinating to just really look at the amazingly smart people who are much smarter than me on a regular basis. And again, I've had a few different roles, so I feel like I can just really help to give some direction. People can learn from the many mistakes that I have made. And I really love people and working with people. So it's great to meet this group of women. I met Jags through doing some work with Communitech and was just thrilled to learn about the group here and thrilled to participate.
Thank you, Amber.
Great, Amber, thanks. And two quick notes on that too is while a lot of us here are exposed to the tech space, hopefully people will feel very free to also be talking about in other industries. And I know Jags is going to hit that, but making sure that that door is open, of course. And then additionally, Amber, I loved what you said about having a glimpse into the future. That's one of the super exciting things that is in this space. And one of the things we even talk about too is like, this is really the process of being able to impact that future and really just saying, look, these are the next future, tech giants or whatever giants you want to call them, who are going to be making product and touching people out there. And hopefully that can maybe look a little bit better with our hands on it. So
absolutely
love it. Thank you, Amber. Who else do we have up here? We have got Amber, and then we're done.
Can you repeat that, Kate?
Oh, Katie Dunn. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't catch what you said.
Yeah.
Hi everyone. I'm Katie Dunn. I just have to say I'm like so blown away by this group already. It's really, really impressive. So I feel very cool to be a part of it. I am a commercial real estate banker by trade, which means I make loans for buildings across the US. I do generally bigger deals for very institutional based clients, and started doing some angel investing about 5 years ago. I invested in a movie, which premiered at Tribeca. And then I, since then, have invested in an Irish liquor company. And our first product is a gin.
Oh.
And my second check I wrote earlier this summer, which is for a startup home care for dogs brand. So like think dog shampoo and wipes and stuff like that. And then I'm looking at my, I guess, fourth thing right now, which is also in sort of the food consumer goods space. So I'm really excited. Like I do due diligence as my job. So I feel like I sort of know how that looks and what that means. I know finance, I know models, but this is a different skill set and a different way of looking at things. And I want to make sure I'm asking the right questions and doing things like I should be doing. Because I just feel like I can be more efficient and better. I also am excited about the opportunity to use this group as to see deals as well. So yeah, that's it.
That's awesome. Thank you, Katie. And where are you based out of, Katie?
Oh, sorry, I'm in New York.
New York. Got it.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie. And Christy.
Hi, how are you? My name's Christy Houlihan. I'm based in New York as well, and I also work in commercial real estate. And very, very randomly got connected to Katie, who just spoke last week. So we were on a Zoom and talking about angel investing, and she mentioned she was starting a boot camp this week, and I was like, there's no way that there's another angel investing boot camp starting next week. So it's a very, very small world. I met Kate Brodock just about a year ago at the Founders and Funders Conference. And I thought she was awesome. And she's been very, very kind to me in terms of kind of being a mentor. And I've been able to ask her a lot of questions. And I've invested in a couple of of startups, and I'm about to join her as an investor in the W Fund. And their investment thesis really aligns with what I'm passionate about and like interested in. I really, really want to invest in women and other underrepresented or underfunded founders, early stage. I'm really interested in tech, but I'm pretty industry agnostic. But I really like the idea of doing something that's disruptive and that principally helps the lives of women. I am a commercial real estate investor, operator, and lawyer, and I'm very used to being the only woman anywhere in sight. And the first startup I invested in, a childhood friend co-founded a startup called The Riveter, which is essentially, if you're based in New York and you're familiar with The Wing, it's The Wing's like direct competitor. They are based out of Seattle. And for me, the idea that I could invest my money in something that was founded by two women who were doing something for the benefit of other women was like groundbreaking to me, because I was used as a lawyer to representing mostly all male white clients. And then now that I'm on the deal side, the people who are in power, that's the exact same structure. So for me to be able to do that one initial investment was really groundbreaking, and it's something that I'm really looking to spend more time doing.
Wow, that's incredible. Thank you. Are you based out of New York as well?
Yeah.
All right. I
Awesome,
did my undergrad
Christy.
at NYU, so New York is my second home. I did my engineering at NYU. I love New York.
Awesome, Christy. Thanks. I'm like so psyched to have you here. And last but not least, Amber number 2.
I think we have one more person left. We haven't had Constance speak.
Two more people.
Yep.
Oh, do we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Okay.
We will not call you Amber number 2 throughout this book. Okay?
Very happy to go next. I'm also just very happy to meet this group of women. I think for me, one of the I'll come to that. I'll start by introducing myself. So I have nearly 20 years in the financial services industry, making money for other people, especially for a lot of men in large institutions. And in my personal portfolio, I invest in public equities, private equity, venture, and I'm looking to diversify into angel investing and seeing what kind of early stage opportunities there are. For me, I think the paradigm shift in our financial industry, it frustrated me that we were moving extremely slowly, and I'm just enamored with the paradigm shift that's being led by data science, by technology, and therefore I wanted to learn and immerse in that area. So some of my early investments in venture have been in that area, frontier technology that looks at the future and how the future will change in communication, augmented reality, how that will transform how we interact. And I think what's been groundbreaking for me is to be very intentional about surrounding myself with a critical mass of powerful women. And by that, I mean people who are smarter than me in areas, who have economic ability to transform and create impact for other women. So I'm looking to contribute to the lag as well, to invest in other women, to give my knowledge and experience towards that. So I'm looking to invest, in areas which are underrepresented, and I do a lot of work on that subject as well. And I'm looking to eventually think about founding, my own either a venture fund or I haven't really finalized that idea, but I'm looking for an inspirational ecosystem where I can just have that epiphany. So I'm sort of ripe, and I'm trying to learn the language and the interactions that go on to be sort of not slowed down by that. So hence I find myself, I think, in the perfect spot. And I was very kindly brought to this serendipitously by Betty, who was very kind to bring this to my attention. And she said, you must do it right away because we're starting ASAP. So thank you, Betty.
Thanks, Amber. So, Amber, you mentioned you invested in venture. So what stage? Later stage companies, not early stage. And that's what you're interested in diversifying to.
It's early stage, and I like the early to slightly growth stage, but I'm happy to go in at seed if I believe in the, everything you talked about, the process, because I have a very sort of well ingrained process on the public equities, private equity side, but on the angel investing, it's very much emotional. I get excited and I'm like, I love that. I want to invest in it, but I would love to have a process which sort of hits on all of the things I talked about.
Well, and I'm not here to take that emotion out of this equation. my and Kate hope is not, I think we need to be emotional, we need to be excited, but at the same time, how can we increase the probability of success? Because that's what's going to help us keep moving forward and do more and more, right? So keep the emotions.
Yeah, the emotion side is what makes this whole thing even more exciting. So it's being able to really support that and make some solid decisions. So amazing. Constance.
Hi everyone. I'm so excited to be here after hearing all your backgrounds and what your interest is. I'm based out in Brooklyn, New York. I've been in New York for 13 years. I've lived in Singapore, London. I've also spent some time in Iowa. And one of the things that, over the last 20 years, I've been in the financial services industry, very similar to Amber and some others. A lot of the money that has been made to wealthier families, have been made to institutions with working with mostly white Caucasian men. I'm currently part of an Asian American credit fund. So a lot of the things we do involve alternative lending, but I've also been going more deeply into diversity and inclusion. And that really permeates now as part of an advisory board for an investment management, well, not a trade association, but sort of a group that actually looks into diversity and inclusion for investment management, connecting GPs and LPs. But part of what I do is, because I've been in financial services for so long, that is, to echo Amber's point, is like, it's kind of driving me crazy because it's moving so slowly. So during this COVID period, I've had a lot of time to do many things. So I started venture investing. I've done real estate for the last 15 years. And because that's always something that I'm interested in. And a lot of it is demographics. I'm always interested in how demographics are moving, how things are being disrupted. And then that tied me into technology, right? So anything to do with cybersecurity, I'm very interested, because the company I'm a part of has been cyber hacked so many times. So it's all these things that I'm thinking, that I would love to be able to invest with women or with minority groups that have great ideas. And at some point, it would be great to kind of create something myself too, right? And I, have started to think more about that too, how to bring my ideas into fruition. So I'm really excited to be part of this group. And I'm really looking forward to getting to know everyone.
Awesome. Thank you. Welcome. Okay, do we have one more person?
I think we got everybody. Can somebody chime in if we did not get to you? I'm looking over. I'm pretty sure we got everybody.
Going once? No, you can always introduce yourself. Okay.
And I know too, and just so everybody knows, I know that there were, I think, 2 people who were not able to make this record or this session. So we will have 2 new faces next time around. So I know some of you also may not be able to make 1 or 2 sessions here or there. We are providing recordings after each of the sessions, so you'll be able to reference those, or if you've got a miss, but we might have, 2 other people to introduce on Thursday too.
Thank you. Thank you all for such great introductions, and I feel like I should let you all teach this class. So let's make sure that if there is anything that you want to add that can enhance the experience of everybody else, let's do that. And having said that, I want to say the saying that I've heard it, and I don't know where it came from, but I think what Kate and I are trying to do is exactly this. So here it goes. You know how many seeds are in an apple, but you don't know how many apples are in a seed. So what we are doing here is we are planting seeds, and we don't know where your path will take you, but we know that we are on a parallel path, and sometimes we'll merge. But that's exactly our hope, is that we're planting seeds and we get many, many apples. And if we just don't know how far and the impact that we will make on the younger generation, on our generation, on the economy, et cetera, but let's get started. So thank you all for being here, first of all. Thank you. All right, so does anybody need a break, or we can just get going? And if you do need a break, please feel free to go on and do what you got to do. And if you have any questions, I'm also hosting office hours. You can bring deals then. You can talk about anything you want to talk about that was not clear in the session, or we can just go over your deal and saying, this is what I have. What do you got? What do you think? What kind of due diligence I need to do. So, I'm happy to provide anything you need in the office hours. I believe it's on Fridays from 1 to 2 p.m. PST, correct, Kate?
Yes.
Okay. For some reason, Zoom share. Okay, great. Let's get started. All right, so what is angel investing, right? We all have an idea about angel investing, but basically this is the book definition, and there is a requirement. You can call yourself an angel investor if you have a net worth of $1 million or outside of their primary residence and have an income of $200,000 or $300,000 as a couple. I just wanted to reiterate that for the purpose of being able to call yourself an angel investor. This is the requirement. All right. What's going on here? Sorry about that. So who are the key players in this ecosystem that we talked about, right? There are various funding sources. A lot of this may be basic to you, maybe you already know, but feel free to share and question as we go along. A lot of funding sources like angels and VCs and private equities. Then there's academia that's playing more and more role into the startups and innovation. For example, University of Waterloo. I know that they have such an amazing arrangement that they do not take any equity on a tech transfer for any innovation that they have been, their students have, are innovating. So they are actually helping them by equity-free mentorship, coaching, and also a way to get them connected to places like Communitech in Canada. But more and more, Stanford and MIT and Berkeley, everywhere there is in a university, they have an innovation hub. And that we are seeing more and more startups coming out of this academia as well. There are a lot more startup studios and accelerator incubators than there is, all around the world. There are few that are well-known accelerators, incubators like Y Combinator. 500 startups are some of them. You must have know about them. 37 Angels is not an accelerator, but it's also a way of an angel group that falls into the funding sources. It's run by Angela, amazing program as well. Startup studios, corporations. Corporations are getting deeper and deeper into the innovation for a couple of reasons. They always want to keep an eye on what innovation that is happening that may affect them, and also a way to know who are the strategic partners, as well as somebody that they would like to acquire down the road by either, because they have a interest in the innovation that they are building. A government is also helping a lot, creating that startup culture. Canadian government is known for that. New York City has Startup New York. UK does a lot of government-based program. So all these players in this startup ecosystem, they are supporting founders. They're supporting these startups that are coming out at a seed stage, early stage, and hoping that because of these key players, they get to go to the next stage and raise more money, growth, scale, etc. So what are the funding rounds? So this is exactly related to the funding sources, right? So this is a journey that you may know it already, because some of you have already made some angel investment. So usually it starts with founders, right? They're bootstrapping or family and friends round. And then they come to angels, which is also called this, a pre-seed or seed round. And most of the angels invest in usually pre-revenue companies, prototype level, a very early stage. They're still trying to figure out product market fit. And there is a lot of, unknowns and uncertainties. And that's where the angels step in to kind of support that innovation that startups are creating, and understanding why they're creating, how is that going to make a difference into the thesis that they believe in. If you're a generalist, if you're a frontier tech minded, if you're a food and beverage CPG investor. So all these new ideas are getting funded by angels, pre-revenue, pre-product market fit, a lot of times, and also with very few people on the team. They most of the time don't even have board or in a set of advisors. We see we see more and more maturity at this stage. Like a lot of the startups, they come with they have a strong board, they have a strong advisory board, they have a strong set of founders and even team members. And angels usually will invest up to $1 million. And obviously these numbers are industry numbers, and they go less or more at every stage. And the seed stage is the next stage, where it is pre-series A. So a lot of the times in that stage, the companies have already proven MVP, which is a minimum viable product. They have that. They have a beta customers. They have some traction, and they need it to either refine the product, or they refine the service or the platform, whatever is their core offering is, and then get ready for Series A. Seed stage can be from 500,000 up to 3 million. Depending on the valuation, depending on what industry it is in. So for example, if it's a food startup, right, it's going to have a different multiplier than if it's a SaaS company or a frontier tech company, or if it's a hardware company where they need a lot more operating expenses to be met by the seed stage. So, and we will talk more about how do we evaluate companies that are in different areas. How do we evaluate food company versus a SaaS company versus a space company versus marketing tech or prop tech? Even though there is a basis of due diligence that is same, the framework may be different from one company to the other. Also, what is their lifetime value? What is the customer acquisition cost? So, for example, if a product is one-time buy, then usually the valuation is 1x or 2x, versus if it's a subscription company, then it's much higher multiplier. So that's what a lot of the conversations in the seed stage are happening with the investors as well as existing investors, looking at your cap table, who is, you know, how are we diluting and getting ready for Series A. Series A, in my opinion, is the pivotal point. Right? Series A is when you are telling investors, I have proven myself, I've proven the product, I have a proven team, I have a proven business model, I have a go-to-market strategy, I have a product roadmap. Now I need money to grow to the next stage, for the growth and scaling of my product and bring in more customers, right? So Series A funding is usually dedicated towards attracting funds that can help with the growth and scaling of the the product, that product or service or platform, whatever the core offering is going forward. The next 2-3 stage is Series B, Series C. Basically, it is about bringing on strategic investors. And when you are on a Series A, right, most of the time you have a lead investor, which helps you set the term sheet and the terms, and also is investing at least 20% of the round, 20% of whatever the round you are raising, and bringing other investors. That doesn't happen all the time. If the founder can also decide to just create a term sheet on their own and go to different investors to either pitch events or their own Rolodex or part of the community, whatever, and then they decide on the term and what they're willing to accept and what the valuation is. This is the point also where all the convertible note and SAFE that most angels and seed stage investors invest in gets converted to the price round. So also, if you have a convertible note with a cap and some discount, it all gets converted at Series A. And Series A is when the lead investor also formally becomes part of your board and brings on, if you have other strategic investors, you formalize the board. And now you're getting started to hire, to go through the growth stage and scaling. So that's the next two series is, they enhance that process, right? So when there's often investors look at this as a flat angle and a wall. So if you from founders to seed is like a flat line, from seed to Series A, or from angels to Series A, you can, it's like a angular line. I should have drawn this, and I can actually do that next time. And then before I send you the slides, and then it becomes a wall. And they say they never invest in the wall. Wall is where you are, as an angel investor, you are not going to you're going to be very, very small percentage of a large valuation, versus much earlier when you're at an angle and you can see a couple of other funding rounds coming and helping you grow your investment into multiple axes. When Series B and Series C happens, and beyond that, private equity, that's not where most angels invest. This is where they may even get, they may even exit. They may decide to stay, but if you have a pro rata right, then it becomes more and more expensive to stay in the round. So if most of the time when I made an investment, I always make sure that I have a pro rata right, and I only do 1 or 2 round up to Series A. I don't do pro rata after Series B because it gets really expensive to maintain the same amount of equity.
Jags, can you reference the convertible note, and you also reference SAFE. So yeah. I'm actually involved in a SAFE. Can you just explain that a bit more?
Sure. We're going to have a session on this, but I'll go really quickly. So SAFE was created by Y Combinator. And it's becoming very popular right now among entrepreneurs because it is very easy. It's a template, and the terms are pretty much set. To me, there is not much difference between convertible note and SAFE, except SAFE gives you, as an investor, I prefer convertible note over SAFE because SAFE gives me less flexibility. So a lot of the times of SAFE can be uncapped. Convertible note can be uncapped too, but usually you don't come across scenarios like that with convertible note. SAFEs are very popular, and they can raise money in chunks. And I'll go over this more in a future session, but I prefer as an investor convertible note, not SAFE. But have I invested in a SAFE? Yes. Have I invested in an uncapped SAFE? Yes. Was that a mistake? Big one. I'll go over that case study when we talk about that. And it's actually really important for you guys to know that when you are signing this, have other people take a look at it if it's your first or second or third investment. I made so many mistakes. I've made 50 investments so far. I've had 5 exits, 10 failures. 7 of them are in Series B, Series C. So the failures that I have, that they were failed, looking back, obviously, I can say, oh, I should have known this, but I didn't know that. And I was too shy to ask anyone for help. And I was just too proud to say, oh, I believe in this. So my biggest learning for myself is that even though you may know it, it doesn't hurt to get extra pair of eyes looking at it. And that's also something that this community will provide as we grow more and more, and get to know each other and get to know each other's strengths.
Great. And Jag, just before you go on, Betty, if that's a deal that you're looking at with a shorter timeline than when we hit that session, I would say please feel free to use us as a resource to help you on that specific deal.
Yeah, bring it on Friday to office hours if you can wait until then. Otherwise, just ping me.
Love it. No, of course. Friday's perfect.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Any other question, guys? I know you must have seen this diagram, but it's still really, really important to know that as an angel, you have a lot more coming after you. So how do you make sure that if you, I always negotiate for pro rata, and I always negotiate to have some sort of cap. I don't really care about discount or interest, because if it's a good company, I can, deal without it. But for sure, I would like to see cap and have pro rata rights. All right. Any other questions? All right. So, I'm going to minimize, so I can't see your faces, but if you have a question, just speak up, okay? I'm going to minimize the Zoom thing so I can see the slide. Okay.
And if you want to pop something, you can either come off mute, or if you want to pop something in chat, I can also.
Yeah. Thanks, Kate. Thanks. I'm just going to get a drink of water. So as early stage investors, right? We are usually, historically, there's been more and more angels investing in early stage companies. Now VCs are understanding that earlier you invest and you catch a really good deal, your obviously your multipliers increase as well. So there are VCs, they consider micro VCs, and also part of big VC funds like Sequoia have an early stage fund as a part of their overall strategy. So more and more people are going to be part of this early stage ecosystem. It's good and bad, right? It's good because if you know that there is other people who've been in industry are interested in a deal, doesn't mean you should blindly invest, but it kind of gives you a way to, do more due diligence, because we all know somebody at some VC firm, right? You can pick up a phone and say, hey, I heard that you guys are investing in this company at an early stage. Tell me if that's true, if that's happening. So an example, about a couple of weeks ago, I came across a deal and they said, oh, Sequoia India. So this deal was out of India. Sequoia India early stage is investing, they're taking 40% of the round. And I was like, really? And I picked up a phone and I called somebody in Sequoia, and they connected me. My friend connected me to somebody who's in there, and it's like, no, we passed it. We passed it. We're not doing it. So it is also a learning opportunity for me to call somebody in a larger space, VC space, because if they're coming in at an early stage, and if they confirm what the founder is saying, it kind of gives me, more fuzzy and warm feeling that because they're in this, they're going to continue with their pro rata, and they're going to do everything they possibly can with their huge network and everything to support the founder and the startup, right? But that's not always the case. So that's the good part. The bad part is that more and more deals, good deals, are not getting out of the circles of VCs, right? So as an angel investor, individual angel investor, it's really hard to get a good deal flow unless you're a part of some circle or a community, right? If the VC says, oh, this is a great deal, it's taken at the seed stage or early stage before it even gets to the angels. So you want to make friends with VCs, and you also want to make sure that you do your own due diligence and not just take the word saying, okay, if VC is investing so-and-so, then it must be a good deal. And I've done that too, so it's not a good thing. So anyways, what's some of the big differences between angels and VCs, right? So as angels, we are usually an individual decision maker. However, there are individual angels and there are angel groups like, 37 Angels. And I'm only now talking about women-led angel groups, Golden Seeds. There are non-women-led angel groups like Keiretsu, and Harvard Angels, which is also, again, exclusive filter. And there are people like me who are individuals, who started individually, but I'm part of a few communities where I get my deal flow and able to contribute. That also gets you, that we'll talk about that in branding you part. So decision maker is you are on the cap table, either through your own, or you're a part of an angel group. And VCs, the VCs, the fund is usually have a general partner and bunch of LPs, and the general partner reserves the right to make decisions on where to fund, right? I mean, you are given a bunch of your money as part of the fund. You're an LP in the fund, but you don't have direct influence on what investments are made. There are fees. So I put depends under angels. So lot of angel groups like Band of Angels. I'm part of Band of Angels, which is the oldest angel network. I think 27 years old. They started right here in Saratoga, Silicon Valley. And they charge a fee, yearly fee, annual fee. And the members get to, listen to the deal flow, and, they do due diligence, and they either can go individually or they can create an LLC and invest as an LLC, because a lot of the times, if you have 10 angels, it's very hard for founders to keep track of all that on their cap table. They rather just keep track of one entity. So that's why they also create an LLC, and they become part of the cap table. The VCs, the fees are carry and management fees, so 20% carry and 2% management fees. there's a little story I'll tell you very quickly on the Carey. So, and some of you might know this already. So in the old times when the ships used to go out and, hunt for whales, because the whale blubber was a very useful thing to, oil, whale oil was very useful in cold winters and, all that stuff. So there were people who would invest in the ships that are going out to sea. And usually they would have the entire ship and hope that the ship makes it back, right? Many times, the ship did not make it back, or even if it made it back, did not have any whale blubber. So what they figured out is that, we can have many ships go out in the sea. And as part of that, we don't have to invest all our money in one vehicle, one ship, but we can actually invest in several ships. And in return, the captain gets to take 20% of the whale blubber home, carry it home. So that's where the term carry came from in the world of VCs, because they do similar thing, right? They invest in many companies and hope that one or two or three they do well and they get to take the carry 20%. The management fee is usually 2%. So that's where, anyways, I love that story, so I thought I'll just share that with you. That's where the word carry came from, and 20% remains still today the same percentage as before. Management fees are paid on an annual basis, but that are paid back to the LPs when the fund is, dissolved from the returns. Most angels, as we heard today, they invest for passion and obviously profit, right? But we have a reason, we have something that we want to reflect out to the world. I heard from each and every one of you that you were passionate about supporting women founders, you're passionate about supporting underrepresented founders, and you want to learn, and at the same time you want to continue to make profits so you can do this again and again and again. That's what angels, most angels are driven by passion, emotion. VCs they're corporate VCs, there are regular fund VCs, so they vary, but their main goal is growth and profit. And strategic, especially for the corporate VCs, because if they see somebody that they want to acquire, they already know the company pretty well. So they also do strategic investment. Sometimes they do investment for the team only, and they end up acquiring the team. There's not much in the probably the tech IP or whatever the IP, but there are a lot of times there, it gets acquired because of the team or for the future value of the product or services they're creating. Growth potential, high growth, right? We do, it's usually 3 to 10x. That's the expected ROI. VCs expect much more than that, 5 to 10x, right? Because they are making big bets, and they are the ratio still remains very low on how many unicorns they find, etc. And the stages are angels usually, as you heard earlier, invest at the ideation stage or minimum viable product stage. So they have a prototype, but it's not a mainstream product, or pre-revenue. VCs post-revenue, and they're in a growth phase, and they are just, right after the hockey stick as it's trying to grow exponentially. That's what they specialize in. And VCs also have huge networks and a lot of connections, especially with the corporate customers, so they can also help startups, get Fortune 500 customers, etc., etc. And it's in their obviously they want the company to be successful at whatever rate. So growth is the key phrase for the VC world. Average number of deals. Now this is again, if you are an angel investor like myself, I do up to 4 to 5 individual deals a year. But if you're a company like, if you're a Golden Seeds or Keiretsu, they invest together, a band of angels, 10 to 15 deals, but they're still at an earlier stage. And the VCs, they're usually doing 15 to 20 per fund, but they have it separated by, this many will do and this many will do follow on. So usually 60, 40, 60%, the initial investment, or maybe 40%, they'll do the second round of investment, and out of 40, they'll do even smaller round of investment. So it's about 50 to 20 per fund, and fund is usually about 8 to 10 years life cycle. Any questions? I just want to, hey, Kate, I think we are running a little bit behind. Akash is probably going to come as a guest speaker soon. But if you guys don't mind, we can run through this, and we may be about 15 minutes late. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah, I think, Jags, I think if you thought you could, I don't want to tell you to speed up through this, but
so what do you suggest?
I think 15 minutes might be asking a little bit of participants.
Okay.
And want to make sure Akash gets some good engagement here. But if you thought you could buzz through, and maybe what we can do is, if you feel you didn't get to some of these slides in time, because we did take a bit of time for intros, which we won't have next time around. We could take a little bit of time to dive in. And it sounds like some people are okay going a few minutes late. So
okay, so
take a little bit of a buffer.
Yeah, let me do the best I can to wrap it up, but I'm always available for you. And even if Friday doesn't work, just ping me and we'll make it work. We'll get on a phone or something. Okay. So I'm sure you all have worked with accelerators and incubators.
And Jags, do you want me to let Akash in?
Yeah. That's fine.
Would you like me to let Akash?
Yes, that's fine. So accelerators and incubators, I mean, I'm not going to go through the differences, because all of you, have either worked with accelerators or been part of accelerator incubators. And if you have any questions on what exactly are these and who should I be working with or being, mindful of to get deal flow, we can talk about that. But the basic difference between accelerator and incubator is accelerator are time bound, and incubators are very, they're not that structured as far as either 3 months or 4 months. It's like, okay, you have an idea, let's get you to a point where actually your idea can be turned into a prototype, or whatever the next step is. And a lot of times the incubators, startups, they then go and enter into the accelerators. How many and where? This is just quick. So depending on the part of area, part of world you're from, you may want to get to know the local accelerators or incubators, because that's where your deal flow is going to come as well. So I know there some people say Los Angeles, New York, Philadelphia, Canada, Silicon Valley. Not to say now that we all are virtual. We could still go to one in Austin if you can get an invitation to attend those demo days. I'm going to just fly through this slide. These are some of the accelerators and incubators that are out there. And on the left side, you will see that which are the ones that are, in which area. So I'm blanking out on what platinum, gold, silver, and bronze are, but I think what it means is that the number of companies that they are involved in, like Plug and Play is huge, right? Y Combinator is huge. 500 startup is huge. So, and IndieBio is also one of the a great accelerator. So maybe you guys can take a look at this and figure out, you know, who has, if you want to go into a demo day while we are in this session. I have a feeling one or two of them might have a demo day coming up in December. Again, these are some of the angel groups that if you want to learn more about their structure, I've just listed them here, and you can do your own search in understanding what is their you know, requirement for becoming part of it. Our goal is to help you get started and be part of the you know, ecosystem and contribute at whatever level that's best for you. These are some of the top seed stage funds as well. So you can look at their, what kind of companies they're investing in, or you know, how many deals they have done, and what are they heavily investing in versus you know, not. These are the venture fund, which comes again at the later stage. But if you look at this, Andreessen Horowitz is in a venture fund as well as a seed stage. So this is what I was talking about earlier, is that some of them also have their seed stage carved out as part of the overall strategy. These are, so California, New York, and Massachusetts are the top 3 states in US that has the most startup and most funding. And I believe that's about 70% of the startup, and that is 50% of the startups in the entire world. And I'm hoping that that changes for better, because we are looking to have more, you know, diversification geographically as well as in the, you know, the industry wise. Steps to your first angel investment. And now we're going to go through this in more detail in following sessions, but this is just, I wanted to give you an idea about how it follows. And some of you already have made those, you know, angel investment. So you probably went through this cycle. Obviously, initial meeting and a follow-up, basic analysis, and we'll go through each one of these in detail. Due diligence is the most important part, and understanding term sheet and making a decision, investment decision. And then what happens? How do you follow up, right? All right, so I think we've covered what, why, how, and when, but I would like you guys to reflect on these questions and see if there is something that you would like to dig deep into next time. This, our goal, our story, our impact. Stay focused on that. Build a my strategy. What works for you? Build an authentic brand. Build a strong portfolio. I think I've heard all this by talking to you guys. Positively impact women, underrepresented entrepreneurs. Be a role model, be a coach. We all have something to learn and something to teach. We are at an equal level. So we can still, you know, we need to be the role model for, you know, future generations, as well as, you know, learn from people around us. And I think one of you mentioned, forget who it was, that surrounding yourself with a positive, powerful community that wants to align with you and helping you move forward in your path is extremely important. And reap the rewards of a purposeful life, and do it again because the size matters. So size matters because more, you know, so you don't want to just do 1 or 2 or 3 angel investment and say, I am going to get, you know, get the returns I deserve, because most likely you will not. So the size of your portfolio matters. I hope that you, over many, many years to come, you build your portfolio to 50 to 75 to 100 companies. And that's when you're going to really figure out, you know, or come across a winning few companies. So size matters. So don't let your journey stop at 1 or 2 or 3 investment. Just keep going, but let's increase the odds of you winning. Is there another way to invest if I'm not ready to be an angel investor? And we'll go in detail. And I think this is something that Kate and I are also figuring out how to do that. So I don't want to be an angel investor, but I want to participate in the innovation economy. Yeah, it's called Syndicate. So we offer to we hope to offer you, a company that we are really passionate about, and it's part of a syndicate where, it's a pretty, and you don't have to, you can invest, $2,000, $5,000, and still be part of the growing innovation economy. And we'll talk about this more as well. Community, this is our first cohort. We are excited to have this, have you guys help us figure out what is the kind of community you want to belong into, what kind of community values you want to believe that we should build together. So we'll talk about that too in coming sessions, because we need your help in building this community. All right, so this will lead us to the second session, which is attracting deal flow. And as I said earlier, early stage funding that become unicorn, in less than 1% of the companies you probably find can become unicorn. And this is another reason why the portfolio size matters, because we are increasing the odds of finding that unicorn. And a unicorn definition is any company that is $1 billion and above. And instead, that I want you to be, this is what we're going to talk about, how to attract good deal flow in the next session. And then these are some of the things that I read on a regular basis. Just you can go on their website and sign up for their newsletter. PitchBook is really expensive. CB Insights is really expensive to be a member. So either you find somebody who has a membership, or you can just look at their common newsletter. And that I also get a lot of information on the trends and who's investing where and what's happening in the world of venture. That we all are part of. Now, having said that, I'm going to introduce our guest speaker, Akash. Akash, are you here?
Hey, Jags.
Hi. So, while
are you guys able to see me?
Yeah, we can see
you.
Hi,
Hi. Hi, Kate. Great to see you again.
Yeah, so we have amazing set of the first cohort, we have amazing individuals who are really passionate about making a difference in supporting women founders as well as underrepresented founders. So I wanted to ask you to briefly introduce yourself, and then I'm going to ask you some questions, and I'm going to get my phone because I wrote down those questions on my phone. So please excuse me for a second. But Akash, please go ahead and introduce
Jags.
Yes.
Jags, before, do you also want to unshare your screen unless you have slides?
Yes.
Great.
Jags, I saw a few slides.
Sorry?
They're beautiful.
Thank you.
I love the template.
Yeah, I just wanted that pajama woman on there because that's exactly how I dressed up for all you guys today, okay? I'll get back.
Cool. Well, thank you for having me here. I'm super excited and honored to present at the first session of this series that you're all part of. My name is Akash Chen. I work as a principal at VU Venture Partners. We're basically an early stage fund based out of San Francisco, New York, and we recently launched our Hong Kong office. So we typically invest at the seed and Series A stage. Often co-investing with other angel investors and sometimes after, say, the angel round. But, as Jags probably spoke about, it's seed is early enough where it's a combination of institutional funds and angel investors. Our typical check size is about 300K. We write checks of up to $1 million, but our average check size is 300K. And yeah, we invest across all sectors. So we, literally do, I guess our key criteria, and that should be the key criteria for everyone, is large market opportunities, a great fit with the team, and scalability. And as long as we hit those criteria, we actually look at all sectors. A little bit about myself. Before VU, I was working as an investment banker with FD Partners. So I used to advise fintech companies on fundraising, on growth equity, IPOs, and M&As. I guess I did, along my sort of banking job, what I did consistently was also sort of build up my relationships and networks within the venture ecosystem in San Francisco, which also kind of led to me founding an angel group, which is the Chicago Booth Angels Group. That's where I got my MBA. And I guess a combination of the skills that I acquired in investment banking and the network that I built out of just, not sleeping that much, but like doing all these other extracurricular activities outside of my day job, sort of allowed me to become a professional investor with VU. So that's a little bit about my background, and happy to take questions and just have a general discussion.
Yeah, I will get you started with questions, but feel free, everybody, if you want to ask, please go ahead. So one question that I am really excited to ask you and get your opinion on is, how do we break through the cliques or circles of the investors who think that angel investment, since they got a head start on it, it only belongs to them? If I, what I mean by is like, if I have a good deal, I'm just going to circulate it to where, in my friend circle, and that's it.
Sure.
The round is closed. How do you penetrate through that thought that thought process? And if you have any recommendations for us.
And I think it's kind of like cliques with anything else in life, where they don't necessarily exist for any other reason except for familiarity and like who you know and how much trust you've established with the other party. So for the most part, these angel investors, they don't want to keep you out, but they just don't know if you bring any value add to the table, because then they have to manage more people. They have to like tell you about the company. They have to kind of like introduce the idea, but they don't know if you will invest. And that goes back to what Jack said, like size matters. They want to know that, you're an active investor who actually invests and will not waste their time. And B, and this is something that's super important as it's not just other angel investors, even as you partner with, say, venture funds, and if you want to invest with them, you can often co-invest with venture funds, is the value add that you bring to the table. And that value add can be, multiple things. So typically what startups are looking for is, CEOs are effectively concerned with three things, startup CEOs: finding new customers, finding new investors, and finding new employees. So if you can kind of like structure your value add along that spectrum, depending on what your expertise is, can you make introductions to customers in a particular industry? Do you know a lot of other angel investors or other VC funds that you can make introductions to? Or are there people within your network that you can refer, to become employees at a particular startup? That's the kind of stuff that you can, even go to like an early stage venture fund and say, hey, I saw your portfolio. I'd love to just kind of like work with you on, this, then this, and this company. I think I can like provide this value add through my own network. And often they'll be more than happy to like have you come on board and help them out. And suddenly you've broken through such a cliquey industry, which is like venture capital, right? And it's like so opaque and non-transparent. But the VC's eyes will like suddenly light up, and they'll happily take calls with you. So I think fundamentally it's about building that level of trust, expressing your value add, being very directed, taking a look at the portfolio of the person that you're talking to, and steering your conversation around that. So it's I would say it's networking with a purpose. It's not just networking, i.e. showing up at events, but it's like it's more about quality than quantity. So finding that purpose before taking a meeting or attending a networking event.
Yeah, very well said. And even though Akash has a high degree of confidence in this, I've tried that a few times, and I am not always been successful. So my advice is continue to try. Somebody will, and you guys are all amazing. All the women here are just, rock stars. So when we put ourselves, I guess, continue to put ourselves in front of that and, have a process, and we work the process and put ourselves out there, there are times that, we are accepted, and then that's the first step forward. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and actually, I guess to that point, and this is another interesting thing that is important, is to like have the same mindset as the founders that you want to back. So like, and a big part of that is just tenacity, right? Having that same level of grit and tenacity yourself as like the founders that you're looking to back. So you will hear no's, you will be let out of deals. I mean, even, you know, VCs, a big part of like their day is spent wondering if like they're seeing all the best deals or not. If like other VCs who they typically collaborate with, are they showing them the best deals? Are, you know, are they exchanging the best deals with each other or not? So there is always that level of like uncertainty. And, you know, as Jags mentioned, only 1% of the companies kind of become unicorns. So I guess you need to be clear as to why you're investing, and then B, just have that level of grit and tenacity and keep knocking on doors and, you know, trying to like, you don't need to get to know every single investor and every single angel group, but even if you get into like a few of these networks, and then you can snowball from there. And it's really a long-term sort of brand and you know, level of goodwill that you're building, because venture is a long-term game in any case. So having that same level of grit and tenacity as the founders are doing the back is pretty important.
And one other thing I learned also is I see some babies. I'm so happy to see them.
I know. It's like awesome.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I know. Another thing that I did not do earlier, because I was like, you know, I was shy about asking my the people I was, you know, I was in the community with. And later on, I realized that just because I know them, I don't know who they know. So it's okay for me to say, Akash, do you know this person? I'm interested in this industry. How do I break in? Do you have a connect there? And ask for a warm introduction. And the chances are warm introduction may get you that first 15-30 minute conversation with a VC, and then you are you know, then you go to the step of providing value. Let me ask you another question, and this was a question that I always wondered how others see from outside of Silicon Valley. So I'm sure you guys have either heard of Jason Calacanis or know about Jason Calacanis or have invested with Jason Calacanis. His book, Angel, has a chapter. The title of the chapter is, do you have to be in Silicon Valley to be an angel? And there's one word in that chapter, yes. I strongly disagree with that, but I'm in Silicon Valley. So I don't know if that is true. But Akash has connections of the startups, and, you know, do you believe that's true, Akash? That you have
Not at all. And again, this might have been true when Jason Calacanis wrote his book, and I don't know when that was, but Jason invested in Uber, and that was like 2008, 2009. I think the world has changed considerably since then. Like, New York was an emerging ecosystem back then. New York now is, I think, the second or the third biggest after San Francisco, and it's, you know, it's growing faster than San Francisco. So like, there are tons of other emerging ecosystems. Austin, Texas comes to mind. Denver,
Los Angeles, Seattle.
Exactly. And like, you know, COVID's only accelerating a lot of those trends. I think generally information, knowledge, ability to build a startup, all of that is getting commoditized to the extent that founders don't need to be, also like, you know, founders needed to be, I guess, in Silicon Valley back in the day, because this was even like a year ago, pre-COVID, VCs would not invest without taking a meeting face to face. There's tons of VCs now that have come out and said, well, we have shifted that paradigm. And, you know, once things do reopen, I think to some extent you'd want to do a face-to-face meeting again, but like VCs have done it now. They're more open to sort of investing just via Zoom calls. So I think the dynamics have shifted quite considerably. In some ways, the more I think about it, yeah, you have access to a ton of really good talent in Silicon Valley, but also the cost of just building a company out here, I think, makes it very prohibitive to go through that discovery phase of like product market fit and figuring things out. And in some ways, you see some really capital efficient and sustainable companies coming out of ecosystems, even like Chicago. Chicago's tiny, but, you know, I've done venture capital there. I was looking at my notes recently, and Snowflake came and pitched to us back in 2013, which is, you know, one of the, it's like a unicorn darling in Silicon Valley right now. So I think founders, the good founders, they generally cast a wide net when they're fundraising. And as long as you have access to those networks, you will also see deals that are being founded in Silicon Valley. But more so than that, I think innovation, the cost of innovation has come down. The knowledge of how to innovate has gone up. And overall, there's a lot of emerging ecosystems, both nationally and also internationally.
And in this, one of the reason I asked you that question, and it's also part of what we hope to deliver, is busting myths. And this is one of the myths I wanted to bust, because that's no longer true. I didn't believe that was true even then, because a lot of innovation was happening. Innovation is everywhere. By the way, I do have 2 books that I would like to recommend. And this book is incredible. It's called The Innovation Blind Spot. And it's talking exactly about where innovation is happening, and it's not Silicon Valley. And for all the hustlers like myself, this book is really amazing too. I'll send it to Kate, and Kate can send it to you guys. Never Split the Difference. It's the best negotiating book. And a lot of the stuff from this book I have used to negotiate a valuation or terms for myself. And for the other investors in the same round. Anyways, thank you, Akash. Does anybody else have a question for Akash?
You did just get an unsolicited shout out from Kirsty, who has done a couple of deals through VU, but also for your Angel University course.
Okay.
So she is for the Angel University at VU. And Jags, I know you had your hand in that. So no, this is a great conversation. I also wouldn't mind throwing into on that last question about being in Silicon Valley. We consider it, it's funny, I joke with my fund partner that we have long been totally bored of Silicon Valley. And I think one of the big things is that we consider it an enormous opportunity, because there are so many fantastic companies being built out there. So not only is it that you don't have to be in Silicon Valley, it can really be a big advantage. And some of you are in, deeply entrenched in some great markets. Christy, you're in prop tech. You can really have your eye to the ground in a space in New York City, which is, arguably top notch in that space. And so I think it's a really huge advantage. And, just really something to think about is not feeling that pressure. Obviously making connections there is hugely advantageous, but not feeling the pressure that is the only place that you need to be connecting into.
Yeah, I'll just give you one of the other reasons that I'm also being in Silicon Valley, looking outside. I am currently in the process of investing in a company out of Canada. And when I looked at their valuation, it was like 2.5 million Canadian. I'm like, are you kidding me? This company will be like 6 or 7 or at least 8 million in Silicon Valley. And I'm like, I'm jumping on it. I'm like, I'm going to come in this round, but I'm going to help you get at least double this or triple this by the time you raise the next round, because the value is there. And as an investor, that's a sweet thing. That's really, so, that myth, let's bust it right now, that as an angel investor, you don't need to be in Silicon Valley. You can be, but you don't need to be.
Yep.
Another question. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Amber.
Akash, interested in the size of your fund currently, and also in understanding your mindset from the time that you thought about launching the fund and you actually did it. What was the point at which you just said, okay, I'm going to go for it?
Yeah, so I guess some of those questions would be better answered by the founder of our fund, Sky Fernandez. But I can try and address those questions. So the size of the fund, we're on a first fund right now. It's an evergreen fund. We've deployed about close to $10 million. So, on a run rate basis, it's equivalent to a $60 million fund. And we're currently in the process of raising our second fund, which is going to be a dedicated pool of capital, $100 million. And, you know, that's going to be more of your traditional sort of money is set aside and you write smaller checks and then you follow on until like bigger checks, etc. I guess like in terms of the go for it, like what was that trigger where we were like, okay, now we're ready? I think fundamentally it comes down to your ability to raise capital from LPs. There, you know, particularly if you want to raise like a bigger fund, it can be quite a grueling process where you have to kind of, it's a combination of like finding that fit with how big of a fund you want to raise and what kind of LPs you want to reach out to, whether it's high net worth individuals or family offices or institutional investors, and, you know, universities also, like endowments in universities, all of those. And typically like there's a sweet spot for each one of them in terms of check sizes that they write. And it's also a function of what networks you have. But fundamentally, you know, what it boils down to is your track record. So because every institutional LP wants to know, okay, have you done any investments before? What's your track record been? Now, if you're raising a big fund, then they want to see, you know, fairly long track record of investing in well-known companies. But if you're just starting out, there's this whole chicken and egg problem as to like, okay, well, no one's going to give me money, then how do I start out? And typically, you know, the way people do it when they're first starting out is they'll start off as an angel group or an individual investor and have a small syndicate around them. And then they'll write small checks and, you know, hopefully some of those companies do well. And then I guess the other part of that is also, you know, there's an element of storytelling around like your track record and your investments that you've made. You kind of want to like weave that in to, I guess, your prior life and connect the dots as to like, why is it that you're investing in a particular sector or in a particular cause? Is there like any life events, or is there a special sort of insight or access to a network or, you know, just expertise that you have that allows you to access deals better in that particular space, and also to generate, you know, your ability to generate insights that are deeper than, say, anyone else who's going to write a check in that particular sector. So it's really a combination of all of those things. And I think, you know, you sort of hit a tipping point once you start investing, where you're like, okay, I've written small checks. I think we can do it. Some of our companies have done well. We can scale this up to a bigger fund right now. That's sort of the journey for a lot of people.
Awesome. Any other questions, guys? I know
Yeah, Akash, I have a question. You know, I'm thinking like, you know, when you are a VC fund, because, you know, I'm currently part of a US SEC registered sort of, you know, hedge fund. And there's just so many layers of like compliance and having, you know, just different individuals. And I'm just getting your thoughts in terms of like when you started, usually when people start as an angel group, and if you get a sizable angel group, you could probably invest and sort of do very well without the distraction of, you know, I don't know if being part of the VC fund, you have different registration, different reporting requirements, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I think my thought process is, does that distract being in a VC, your fund in a VC fund, does that kind of distract from just going after sort of ideas, going after companies that you guys want to back? And also, I'm also thinking along, asking you a question of, you know, being sort of a part of a angel investing group, is bigger better, you know? It's sort of like, you know, if you're now sort of a VC fund, obviously you get access to deals. But if you're a smaller angel group, would you be more nimble, you know, being able to kind of go through the diligence quickly? So I just want to get your thoughts, because there's just so many avenues to creating an investment, right?
Yeah, I guess like to address your first question first, you know, being able to do institutional deals through your VC fund and then also potentially doing deals through angel group. And I think overall, VC is not as much of a regulated industry as it, you know, public market securities. And there are fewer conflicts of interest, and usually they arise with your LPs. And so your main goal is to manage a relationship with the LP, and that they shouldn't feel that, you know, you're basically backing a company where their capital is not being deployed, you're deploying your own capital. So, and the way to manage that relationship obviously is A, just having a good relationship with them, but B, Also, having your strategy well defined from the fund's perspective. And then if you're backing companies, say, that are in a different sector or at a different stage, then, that question does not even arise. If there is an overlap, then, it can be one of those situations where you did an IC, but internally the deal did not get through the IC, but you still had conviction. But, the rest of the partners did not have that level of conviction within your firm. So you decided to back the company directly yourself. And you often see this happening, a lot of general partners at funds or even employees at funds, they will sort of do their side investments. If nothing else, it's a great sort of forcing function to build up your sourcing channels. And, potentially some of those companies could do well and your fund could invest into them at a future date. Your second question, sorry, could you just remind me what your second question was?
Yeah, so I guess in terms of sizing, right? I think for the industry, given if you're looking at sort of things that are more seed or early stages, from what I understand, so the size matter, right? Obviously, I'm thinking like probably from a sourcing perspective, you'll probably, if you're a really big fund, you probably get to see all the deals. But if you're an angel or smaller group and you can move in a very nimble way does that, I'm trying to figure out like the size matter that much?
Yeah. So it's funny, like the second part of your question, the agility, I often feel that seasoned investors at, say, bigger funds can move faster than angels, because angels, they may or may not have as much investing experience. So when they see something that's special, they may or may not recognize that it is what it is, and they may not be able to move as fast. They have to do like maybe a little bit more background research than, say, a seasoned investor who's, be it a VC or an angel who's done 40 or 50 investments. So I think like nowadays, particularly in Silicon Valley, some of these deals are like so hot that you can see VCs moving, within 24 hours. It's questionable if like that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think fundamentally it's important to be able to do really, really good due diligence. But if you can do that in 24 hours, that's great. And I think some of the bigger VC funds are able to do that to win deals. In terms of size, otherwise, I think more than size, it's your network and your I guess your branding, that's what matters. And you can do that branding, like Jason Calacanis is arguably a one-man show, but he's built an incredible brand around himself. So, you need to be clear in terms of like why you're investing, what is your brand, be authentic about it. Think about like be strategic in terms of the channels that you're building out and the networks you're building out. Part of that is just how you present yourself on LinkedIn. Do you have a blog? Maybe you don't want to do a blog. Maybe you just want to like be active on Twitter. Like the whole VC community on Twitter is really, really active. And then how you sell your value add to I guess, your current portfolio companies and also the potential portfolio companies. That is fundamentally, I guess, an impression of size where you can very easily come across as like bigger than what you actually are. And that's really all that matters.
One thing
Thank
I
you.
want to add to that, what Akash said, as far as moving fast and being nimble, a lot of times the angel groups, I do feel that they move slow for another reason is because they all are individual investors. So they are going to see if this fits in their portfolio versus fund. Fund has a thesis and they're moving, without the approval of the LPs. So they are pretty, fierce about understanding is this company what fits into our thesis and go for it, rather than angel groups where it's like a lot of individuals have their own thesis come together and make a decision.
Right, interesting. Thank you.
And we can stick around for a couple more minutes, but I do want to let people who feel as if they would like to scoot, I know we're going over the hour, please do so. And if you do want to spend a few more minutes with Akash to close out. And Angel, I saw you popped on. You're on the hook to introduce yourself next time around. Great. Does anybody have any other questions for Akash?
And we can bring Akash again, as Kate and I are.
All right. Sorry, Kate, I was on mute. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
That's okay.
Yeah, I was excited. I could at least catch some of it, so thank you.
Great. We'll have you do that next time.
Cool.
Well, thank you, Akash. Thank you
Thanks,
all.
Jax.
And please give feedback or how we can improve on every session, or just ping me. Just let's make this really worth your while. I appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. We are going to start next session, as Jag said, deep diving into some stuff. So nice intro session here. Akash, so glad you could join us. Excited to get this started, and see everybody on Thursday.
Thursday, yep.
Thank you.
Talking about attracting deal flow. So bring ideas on how you have attracted some of your deal flow. We'll all learn from you as well. Right.
Thank
Good
you.
night, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.